All right, hey everybody, time for another Emacs video, and I wanted to follow up on what I mentioned, I think in a comment before, talking about completion frameworks. And for years I was using Ivy, and I was very happy with it. I still am. I think it's terrific as my completion framework. Basically, what I would use to, when I'd find files or an extended command or whatever. But when I decided to restart my config from scratch, I saw that there were some other possibilities that looked kind of cool, and most notably Selectrum and Vertico. And the idea was Ivy, like back in the day, there was plain old vanilla Emacs, which is, I've turned off my completions here, and so like here it's like, this is it, that's my completion. If I hit a couple of tabs, I get this. If I type like, so it does completion, but it's not it was a great interface at the time, but it's kind of limited. And then there were things like I do mode, which would make things better, which, had this type of interface. And there was, I complete, which did it a little bit differently, like that. But anyway, and they were all nice, but way back when Helm came around and everyone loved Helm, I tried it. I was using it for a while. I didn't like it because one is there were a couple of compatibility issues with some packages I used. This is so long ago, I don't remember. Basically, also Helm worked a little differently with like tabs and spaces or something with completion that didn't quite speak to me. And so I used it, but I wasn't super happy with it, even though it was definitely a nice improvement over the built-in stuff, which was also pretty good. And then Ivy came along, and it was great, and I was sold for a long time. But then I was looking into these other new ones, Selectrum and Vertico. And the idea here, it talks about why and what and whatever. The idea is, over the course of years, Ivy has kind of grown to have its own API, and I could be getting this wrong if I misread some of it, but things like Selectrum and Vertico try to kind of to only do the one thing it does and do it within the Emacs API. So in theory, you can plug and play different pieces to it, and it will be a little more consistent. So I thought I'd give it a go. So I'm not actually running Selectrum, but I do have it installed. And so if you just use Selectrum, you'll notice you get a little bit of a different interface. To me, it feels a lot like Ivy in certain ways. And it works really nicely, and you can also use it for command completion, like, that type of thing. You can type in, you can have space between parts of it, etc. And it's great, and it works really nicely. And then I'm not going to dig into this because I then found Vertico. And again, I'm not, they both seem to work pretty much the same. And it's just, I'm on Vertico right now because, and let me just turn off Selectrum mode, and we're back to the original, and I'll turn on Vertico for now. But anyway, but going back to this, one of the nice things about Selectrum is you can plug in these different methods for how it will order your things. So one is prescient, and I'm not using prescient right now, but you can read here to see how it works. Anyway, but I'm not using it, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but check it out. And the other being orderless, and the idea with orderless is you can use the space-separated components, but it matches them in any order, which I kind of like. Like when I type Vertico mode, I type vert and then mode, let's see, and here I can do mode vert, and it finds it in either order, which I kind of liked. It was something that I was looking for before. And I also have it set up to find my matches the most recent stuff appears on top. So if I look for a file, I was recently in my downloads directory, so that appears before all of the other stuff. Now, I'm going to jump ahead to show that, and I'll talk about that was a second ago. But completion frameworks, there we go. And so that's orderless, and you can read more about it because I'm not going to talk more about it because I didn't dig into it too deeply. Like when I set up Selectrum, I had it set up with Prescient, and it worked fine. I was happy with it, so I didn't dig too deep because, you know, I'm not one of these people, like I'll get used to most things, so I don't have to like fine tune the order of my my options, like if I open a file or whatever, you know, to get the exact right thing in the, you know, whatever. I'm pretty, you know, it doesn't really bother me. So I just kind of set up the basic mode as, you know, I kind of copy the configuration from, you know, from their websites, and that was it. So, you know, I'm here Vertigo, and I set up Orderless the way they suggested it, save history, so it, you know, keeps the history of the most recent stuff, whatever. And then, you know, I've got, you know, whatever. But anyway, nothing really fancy in here. But before I dig a little bit more into Orderless, into Vertigo rather, I do want to point out something else on the Selectrum page, which is if you go to the bottom of it, it talks about Selectrum versus these other frameworks. So if you're really not sure what you like, it talks about iDo, Helm, Ivy, iComplete, and I think this is a reasonable write-up for this. You know, so I would definitely look this over, and it would also give you some ideas of things you might want to check out. But anyway, I settled on Vertigo for now, and it was pretty quick and easy to install, and you see the basic operation. You know, like if I want to find a file, you know, it works. You know, it does the completions I like. If you do, you know, this, let's say, you know, and again, it's just pretty straightforward, pretty intuitive, and everything is great. But what I really like about this is it does its one thing, its completions, but it plays with other people nicely. So one of the nice ones is Marginalia. So if you notice, if I did my alt, you know, my escape X, this is to do a search for a command. Or if I do Control X, Control XB, this is the consult package, which I'll talk about in a minute, but it brings up buffers that I can decide to change to. It's all pretty simple, but if I turn on another package, Marginalia mode, now when I bring up Control XB, you'll see it brings up extra information about the buffers in the margins, the Marginalia. Control XF for files, extra information. Escape X, extra information, which is really nice. And notice for the ordering, these are the commands that I've used most recently. You know, and then after that, we get whatever the way it orders it. So anyway, Marginalia mode is great. It's a nice little, you just turn it on, it does its thing. It looks like you can set it to give you other pieces of info, but I didn't delve that deeply because I turned it on and it was great. And it does work with other packages. Like I was using this with Selectrum, so it's not a Vertigo only thing. And again, that's the nice thing here is you can use this in conjunction with other packages. So anyway, the two other packages I want to talk about, one is Consult and the other is Embark. And you'll notice here I turned on Consult and I have these two bindings, Consult Yank from Killring and Consult Buffer. Let me just go into the Scratch buffer. The nice thing, so you can do your normal iBuffer stuff, but the Consult buffer thing, you know, you can do all of your completions in here. You know, so I'm doing my completions using Vertigo, everything. And notice I get the preview for the file right up top there. You know, I can go to, you know, I can do the arrows for this, or I can, of course, just do, you know, Scratch like that. But the other thing I can do with this is I can also do M space, and it gives me my bookmarks. Or, so I can actually use more control over this. And so that's a part of the consult package. And consult, it's a bunch of nice packages using completing reads, so it kind of works well with the completing frameworks, and it's kind of I guess Vertigo and Selectrum's answer to Council, which is what had a lot of these functionality for Ivy. And I'll just show a couple of these. So we'll just scroll down. So I just showed you for the buffers, which is kind of nice, and I use that. For the yank. Again, I've got, let's say, again, you can use your completions within there. Nice, simple, nothing fancy, but it just kind of works. And it's got other ones like consult, yank, replace. Again, I just use yank, so I'm kind of a simple guy here. It's got these navigation things. So we've got like, I just fill this with some text. So consult, go to line, whatever, line 14, 13, 14, whatever, consult. And again, I haven't bound these because I've only been using them pretty quickly. Consult, iSearch. And so I just start typing, and this is kind of an iSearch, and you see the highlights over there. So basically, this is your Control S, your iSearch replacement, but with the Vertigo completing type stuff. One of the nice ones it has is, let me go to, this is my, this is a syllabus for one of the classes I'm teaching. You can do consult org headings. And again, I haven't bound this to anything because I'm just starting. But again, you just can do your search and your navigation through all of your headings using the completion framework. So again, nice, simple, easy. The big ones for this that I think are really probably the nicest ones are the consult grep and the consult find. And those are really nice. So let me just get into, let me get somewhere here. Let me see if I still have this. Yeah. Now I'm in a Direct buffer here, but this just copies of my student files for stuff. And I can do my consult find, and I want to find all the files that have read in it, or I want to have the files, with pi, and that should give me pi. Do I have to do? Yes, regular expression for that, and that gives me all the Python files in there. And so I can do this, and now I can find the files easily, and I can manage them and however, and that's kind of nice. Or I can do consult grep or rip grep. I don't know, let's do import. Because I know I import stuff because there's a lot of Python programs in there. And again, I can then, and I got previews, if I do this here, really, really nice. Go back to the scratch buffer. But they're just nice utilities to combine with the other, with that completing framework. So another nice package to check out. But the really big one, the one that I'm really excited about, is this one, Embark. And Embark is just very, very cool. Embark kind of flips the way editors work in terms of doing things on things, kind of on its head. If you think the way most editors work, what you'll do is you'll decide, I want to do something. Okay, I want to find a file, so I do find file, and am I not in, yeah, I'm not in the right window here, and then I can give it the file to open, I can find the file to open, or, I can run a command, I want to do something on this region, and then I can fill the paragraph. I know I could have typed the key, but I can just fill the paragraph here. So basically, the way Embark works, it kind of works in reverse. The way it works is you have something, and then after you have it, you can decide what to do with it. And the way it works is I have this bound to control dot, and that brings up the Embark menu. And if you look at this, and we can scroll through it, we can do all these different things here. Delete region, upcase region, downcase, capitalize, align, fill region, F, boom, and then it fills that region. So I don't have to have the command in mind and then do the thing. The opening file is a better example of that. I guess it's the same as we did with the command afterwards. But we could also do things like, let's say we're on, this is a URL, and here it brings up different options because it recognizes that as a URL. And one of the things I can do is I can do option E for ew, which lets me browse that URL inside Emacs. Or I can do, return to browse URL. That's the default action. And then it brings it up in a browser, my default browser. And of course, I can also bind this. I think I have it bound to Alt semicolon. No, it's not. Maybe Control semicolon. Which will do the default action. On the other hand, if it's a file, and it finds the file. I guess I didn't get the file name right. Home, Zemansky, sync, org files, i.org. Thought I did. Okay, it may not expand the home. Let's see. Oh, right, because it's tilde home Zemansky, whereas I gave the whole root. Let me just let me fix that. In my home domain, I got that. And there we go, and there it opens. That might not seem that useful that you'll have the full path to a file, but the idea is that you're going to operate on the file, or you're going to operate on your selection in a particular way. Or like here, I have this as a bunch of lines, and I can open up my sorting options with S, and let's say I can sort the lines, and bang, there you go. So really, really, really nice. And somewhere, I think if we go to the wiki for Embark, I didn't want to go to the consult wiki, didn't mean to hit that. You can look at the default actions, and this is for buffers. These are the actions, the things that it will do for actions. Commands, the funds. Okay, I don't use these too much. For files, these are the things you can do. So you can select the file and then do things with them. General stuff, delete region, whatever. But this allows us. So let me give you a couple of examples of things that I like doing with this, that I found so valuable with this. So let's go back to Dured, and I'll just come into here. And what I can do here is, one of the things that I've done is I like bringing up, I showed this in my workflow the other way. Like I've got this recipe.pdf, and if I hit enter, it brings it up, and that's fine. But a lot of times I want to bring this up in an external viewer. So what I would do is I'd hit that, and then I'd be like xdg-open. But that's kind of clunky. And I used to have a little eLisp that did this, but it was kind of a special purpose thing. Now, the cool thing with Embark is I can just be like, that's the default behavior for this file here. Well, actually, that's doing it internally. I can actually change that, but I can use X to consult it externally, to find it externally. So it's just a simple keystroke, and I can do that for any PDF file or any file, for a URL, whatever. It gives a tremendous amount of flexibility because I can be like, oh, I've got my thing, in this case a file, now I can do something with it. And so a couple other examples for this. So let's go back to come back to here. And one of the things that I showed is, you can use your consult find. So if I wanted to do consult find, and I wanted to find the PDFs, all my PDFs, and so then I can use my Embark. What I could, let me just undo that. And I could just kind of go through these one at a time, but I'm like, well, I don't have to consult find every single time. So I'm going to do Embark, and I'm going to export this. So now it's exported this into a separate buffer, and so I can look into this buffer, and I've got all my, all this stuff here. I got all these PDFs in here, and I can just, bring that up, and I know it's too small, or I can bring this up, etc. And the nice thing here is I've pulled it all, I've done the find on all of them, and I can pull them all into a buffer. And I can do this with my rip grep, like let's see what happens if I do that. Let's see, I'm back in my E2. And let's do consult rip grep, and let's do an import. And then control dot for Embark, export it, and again, we can just do the same deal, and really nice, really efficient, and it's just a very cool thing. And to show another thing with this, and it kind of works pretty much everywhere. So I commented that, oh gee, I like this I buffer, the consult buffer, but gee, the problem with it is sometimes I like having this as a buffer itself, kind of like iBuffer, the old school iBuffer, where I have an iBuffer and I can now manipulate and do things with it. And the author of Embark commented, oh yeah, you can do that. You just do Control-XB to bring up consult, but then just do the Embark export, and now it's a buffer. And we can do the same thing. And notice I'm looking at the different buffers there. Etc. Really powerful. And the nice thing about it is it's got all these built-in things that we can do. It's got all of the built-ins where you can just it just works with most regular stuff that I've been using. But you can define your own operations. Like if you look at the documentation here, it's somewhere in here. Quick start, advanced configuration, show. Allowing the target to be edited, and that's nice, even though I haven't really used it. Creating your own key map, so you can be like, give it actions you want to give it. Make new targets. Really cool. Now, I don't know if I'm ever going to do that because the package just kind of does so far what I need it to do and then some. I'm just still exploring it, but I'm really liking it. It took me a little while to get my head around it, but I'm just finding it useful more and more. It's like it used to be that if I wanted to convert a bunch of things into a buffer, it used to be like, wait, I've got to do consult that, then what is that mode? Is it occur? Is it W direct? And I would never remember it. But here it's just one interface. It's Embark Act Export, and it's done. Or even if I'm not sure if I can do things, if I go back to here, if I go back to my scratch buffer, I can be like, well, let's see if I mark this. If I don't know, control dot. And then these are things that I can do on this. Like I didn't really think about this. Grab some across. I don't know. Let's like. Whoops. Mark that. Whoops. That's pretty cool, but I didn't know we could do that. But that's nice. Once I have the numbers there, like I don't have to remember. Oh, gee, wait, what can I do with calc to move that in or whatever? I can just be like Embark Act, and I can be like, let's look down the options. Oh, convert region to table. Okay, there we go. So. Really nice package. I'm liking it a lot. I'm liking Vertico. In terms of the completion frameworks, it's not that I didn't like Ivy. Like I like Ivy just as well. Then I did Selectrum. I like that just as well. And now I'm doing Vertico. I don't really, like I guess there are philosophical differences, but they're all terrific. I'm just going to stick with Vertico for a while, and then we'll see. Marginalia, great. You turn it on, it just works. Consult, nice features like the buffer, the rip grep, etc. But this Embark one is really, really cool. Definitely check it out. I've just scratched the surface. Yeah, so that's it, and hope you enjoyed it. All right, that's it for today.